This is the Ballroom State of Mind podcast, episode 118, When Dancing Feels Expensive. Hey, welcome to the podcast, my friends. It's been a little bit, it's been a minute, and it's 2025. It's a new year. It's a fresh start. And it's time to make the most of 2025, whatever that means to you. I'll be honest, and I'll say that I don't super love pursuing a lot of goals this time of year. It's just kind of a dormant season, and it doesn't feel natural to me to set a bunch of goals, but it is sort of, it's a new year, and it's a mark for us to kind of reevaluate and see what we want to do and what we want to continue doing and what we want to stop doing. And one thing I think everybody's been talking a lot about lately is their money. I've been noticing in Joyful Ballroom, which is my free Facebook group, people have been talking about money, and they've been talking about how expensive dancing is. And they've been talking about how their studios or their teachers are raising their rates. And what a pinch that is, truly. So I want to address this a little bit today. And my goal really is to empower you. So first of all, I want you to know that it's okay if you feel frustrated by that. If you feel frustrated, if you feel stretched, it's okay if you don't like that. I don't like that either. Everything feels like it's getting more expensive. Everybody's rates are going up. The economy just feels like so much harder to manage. Groceries feel more expensive. Cars are more expensive. Gas gets more expensive. It just never seems to end. So if you think this is unfair and you don't want to pay more for your dance lessons, and we're already paying a lot, and we're already paying a lot for competitions, and we don't like that, I want you to know that's okay. Okay. If you think that's ridiculous and you think it's a racket and it's just nonsense, that's okay. And I want to hold some space for that. This is expensive. And even though everybody has different definitions of what expensive is, and everyone feels a little bit differently about it, if you feel upset by it, to me, that's valid. Okay. It is a lot of money to spend on anything. Now, listen, life changes over time. And when I started dancing 5 years ago, all my kids were at home and our expenses were much lower. And we've had 2 kids move out. And so now we're supporting them kind of on their own. We bought a piece of property that we wanted to build on, but then the rates shifted. And so we've just been carrying it. So we've been carrying basically 2 mortgages. And then we had a vehicle die, and then my son totaled a vehicle. And so we had to buy a car that we were not expecting to buy. And there's just unforeseen expenses, right? So 2025 looks really different than when I first started. And I understand wanting to be consistent and wanting to keep going at like a pace that maybe we've been doing in our dancing, but I also see where it just can become too much. But let's also remember that this is all optional and nobody's making us participate. Nobody's twisting our arm, and we are choosing an expensive hobby. And then we're upset that it's expensive. Well, we made this bed, didn't we? So here's what I want to do for you today. I want to talk to you about this and about a scarcity mindset that we're probably taking on. And then I want to shift us in a different direction. Okay. So ballroom dance is expensive, and that's always been the case, right? It is considered, in my opinion, a luxury item. And so for many of us, this already feels like a stretch to be able to pursue this interest. And then when these costs go up, along with everything else, it just feels insurmountable. And I get it. But let me show you for a minute where you are doing yourself, and I do this too, a disservice. So what I hear people express, with the costs going up and lessons costing more, I'm going to have to do less lessons, or I might forego competitions altogether. This is so hard because I think the feeling of scarcity feels terrible. The sentiments that I hear are all fueled by this scarcity and a bit of victimhood and a bit of fear. If I can't do the number of lessons that I want, well, then I won't make the progress that I want. And I'm going to be behind, and I'm not going to get better. And if I can't do as many lessons, and other people still can, my teacher's going to give them more attention and make more time for them. So I'm going to suffer from the lack of their attention. And not only am I going to feel slighted, but I'm going to feel less valuable. And once again, I'm not going to be able to progress as I could. And I just don't want to deal with these feelings of inadequacy and rejection. And plus, now I feel poor and second class. So great. And if I don't compete or perform as much as I would like, I'm going to be stuck here. I'm going to be stagnant. I'm going to be not moving forward. And in all of these cases, the overarching sentiment is I'm not going to be able to fulfill my potential. I'm going to be behind. I'm going to be in a place in my life or my dance journey where it simply feels wrong because I would be believing that I'm missing out on something that was meant for me. And if I can't rectify this, I'm going to get further and further from what's meant for me. And I won't be where I'm supposed to be. And then that's just like pity. It's poor me. I'm a victim. I'm lacking what I want or need. Other people have things that I don't. Scarcity, fear, victim mentality. That's what we're indulging in a little bit here. What this makes me think of is it's the Incredibles movie. And you remember that movie? They are a family that's made up of superheroes and they've settled into civilian life and it's quite boring for them. So the father, the husband, gets enticed back into the superhero game, which he hides from his wife, of course. But then she figures it out. She thinks he's having an affair, but she's trying to figure out what's going on. So she goes to Edna, who's their costumer. She's the one that creates their uniforms or whatever it is, that the high-tech fabrics they need to be the superheroes or whatever. So she goes to Edna to see what Edna knows. And she's talking to her about it and she's crying and she's whining and she's like, this is all my fault. And she's just like, mwah. And Edna says, what are you talking about? You are Elastigirl. And then she says, my God, pull yourself together. And she slaps her across the face with a rolled up newspaper. And she says things like, you go remind him who you are. And I would say to you, remind yourself who you are. And Edna says, go. Confront the problem, fight, win. Okay. And this is the energy that I want you to pursue this with. Okay. Rather than wailing in the negative aspects of our circumstances and wallowing, let's remember who we are. Okay. We're going to change our approach and we're going to focus on two things. One, abundance. Okay. Not scarcity, abundance. And that's going to help lead us to the second thing, which is more resourcefulness. You are so resourceful. So shifting into the abundance mindset is going to help you see possibilities instead of limits, instead of roadblocks. And then when you can see possibilities, you can see resources. Now you get to use that resourcefulness as an intentional strategy instead of unfortunate sacrifices because of the negative situation that I'm in. No. And listen, every victim needs a villain. So this is why we're also villainizing a little bit the people who are charging the money that feels like a lot. But let's just not go down that road right now, even if you think it's true. Okay. We're just not going to entertain that they're a villain. The dance studios and teachers and everything, every industry, they're going to charge what the market will bear. They're charging things because people are paying it. Now, listen, I can charge. I know coaches who sell high ticket programs. Okay. And I could charge $5,000 for a 3-month coaching practice. I know lots of coaches who do this. And I know that if I was selling 3 months of coaching for $5,000, that I was going to get a lot of no's because that is a high ticket. But I also know that at $5,000 per person, I don't need as many yeses as I would if I was selling 3 months of coaching for like $1,000. I would need 5 people to say yes for every one that says yes at $5,000. Now, if I offered my coaching package at $5,000 for 3 months and I got 0 takers, 0, then assuming that it's not a problem with the value of what I'm offering or my ability to sell it, like all that aside, I might decide, oh, dang, I've been charging $5,000 and nobody's taking it. I wonder if that's just the market won't bear that. So I might decide to lower the price because the market isn't bearing that. So whatever people are charging, somebody's paying it, and it's been us. Okay. But that means that the people who want to pay $20 a lesson, they're not going to go there. They're going to go somewhere else. Okay. If you are willing to pay $200 for a lesson, then that is what it is worth to you, even if you're mad about it. All right. Now, I'm not saying this to blame us for the cost of things, but I am saying this to empower us, because we're kind of making ourselves a victim to the system that we're choosing to participate in. And making yourself a victim to the system disempowers us, and it generates a lot of negative energy around this pursuit. Even when we say things like, I can't afford it, we're making a choice about how to spend our money, and then we're acting like we didn't have the choice. But I want to give you back your power here. Just for a second, consider how disempowering it is to say, I can't afford it. And I say this too, and you can say it, but I just want to show you something, okay? If you decide to spend your money on something, you get to decide how you allocate your funds. And if I look at the money that's available to me, and I look at all my expenses and what money I may or may not have for it, I always want to remember that I am making that choice of how I allocate those funds. And if I choose to pay, let's say the rent or the tuition for my 2 college age kids, if I'm paying that for them and I'm taking some of my money and I'm allocating it to that, and so therefore I choose to either not compete this year or way less, then I'm not a victim to that choice. And I don't tell myself I can't afford to compete, because that feels like I'm a victim and it feels like I'm disempowered when I made that choice. I want to make that choice. Tell yourself the truth about that. If I didn't want to make that choice to help support my kids, then I wouldn't make that choice. I'd find another way, or I'd tell my kids, hey, sorry, you're on your own. Go get a loan. I'll help you do that. And then I would spend the money on the things that I want to spend for myself. But that's not the choice I'm making, and that's not the choice that I want to make. So if you are making a choice to spend your money in a certain way, make that choice and then own that choice. And if I'm choosing to spend money on lessons or competitions, then I'm going to own that choice, whatever the cost is. And then I'm not going to punish myself by reminding myself how expensive it is. Okay, I agreed to that. And so I'm going to choose, if I agree to that, then I'm going to choose not to upset myself with it at the same time. I'm going to relish it and I'm going to enjoy it, and I'm going to squeeze the crap out of it to get everything out of it that I can. Okay. I'm not going to punish myself all along the way. So don't tell yourself that you didn't want to make that choice. Even if it's true a little bit, even if it's true that, like, I would rather not pay for tuition and stuff for my kids, I'd rather spend it on something fun like dancing. So even if it's true, I'm not going to tell myself that all the time. It's not that you can't afford it. Okay. It's that you're making choices about how to allocate your funds, and some things are a higher priority right now. And that's great. Look how responsible and resourceful you are about how to use your money. Good for you. You're the hero in this story, not the victim. Abundance would say, I always know how to spend my resources in the best way for me in the moment. And I always have enough for my needs. And if I don't, I can make changes. If you're not changing something, my friends, you're choosing it. You can get another job. And if you're not getting another job, then you're choosing this job at this pay rate. You can change your housing. And if you're not choosing to change your housing, then you're choosing this rate of pay for your housing, or whatever, or what neighborhood you live in, or what cost of living that you're experiencing in whatever state or area that you live in. You could sell everything that you own. You could move to a more affordable place. And I'm not even telling you that I think you should do all of that, but I want to show you you're always making a choice. So own your choice and tell the truth about your choice. Abundance also says, no matter how much time and money I have to apply to dancing, it's enough. If I used to do 4 lessons a week and now I'm choosing to do 1, I'm going to do so much with 1 lesson a week. It might take other people 4 lessons to learn something. It's going to take me 1. This is what abundance says. It says, if I'm choosing to only do 1 lesson a week, then I'm going to be efficient with that. I'm going to be efficient with my dance funds. Whatever lessons or competitions or performances I choose to pay for is exactly how much I need to keep moving in the direction that I want. If all I'm willing to pay right now is $5 to cover the social dancing that I'm going to go to tonight, well, then I'm going to maximize that and I'm going to keep dancing because I've already decided that I'm always going to be dancing no matter what. It's going to change shape and my pace is likely going to ebb and flow as it always does. But I already know I'm always going to dance. I'm never going to take that away from myself. I've already decided. And nothing that's meant for me would ever be withheld from me. So everything's working out for me. So these circumstances that I might be dealing with right now are meant for me. It's not a problem. So if this year I'm reducing my lessons and I'm choosing not to compete at all, that must be what's best for me in my development in some way. Or maybe it's meant to drive me to get resourceful and to see what else I can do. Where can I get the most bang for my buck? This is how we start to get resourceful, my friends. So we've been talking about abundance a little bit. Let's talk about resourcefulness. Where can I get the most bang for my buck? If I think I'm limited, I think I'm scarce, my eyes are closed to what's available to me because I think I'm limited. But how can I be more efficient with my lesson schedule? Maybe there is a teacher that charges less per lesson and I can do more lessons if I go to a different teacher. Or maybe I like my teacher. He's a very good teacher. So I'm going to stick with this teacher, but I'm going to make sure I'm not talking in my lessons about things that aren't relevant to my dancing. Maybe I'm going to dive deep on one style so that I can concentrate and focus on that and use my time wisely. What online programs can I do where 1 month of access is equivalent to 1 lesson, where I can get a month of tutoring for the same thing as like an hour of lessons? And no, it's not the same. It's different, but it's available to you. There's so much free instruction on YouTube. Even if you're just watching Instagram, even when I'm scrolling social media, stuff comes up all the time for me where a dancer is instructing about how to use your body, how to transfer your weight, details about body action. It's there for free. It's so abundant. Okay, there are no shortage of options that are low cost. What social groups, like what dance nights can I go to? What group classes can I go to? They're going to keep me dancing, but at a lower cost. What things can I share the cost with someone? Like, can I share a lesson with someone? How can I share rooms, share travel expenses? What online sites can I investigate for secondhand costumes or rentals if I need to do that? Maybe I can borrow somebody's dress. Maybe I can rent a dress from somebody that I know. And like I said, maybe you want to focus on one style rather than trying to do 3, because now I need lots of lessons if I'm going to try to handle 3 styles at once. And scarcity would say that all of this is because I'm poor and because it's such an unfortunate sacrifice. But abundance would say, look at how strategic I am and the abundance of resources that I have to pursue. Scarcity would say, I'm going to lose all my progress. I'm going to forget all of this. If I have to reduce my lessons and like limit myself to one style, I'm going to forget how to dance smooth if I just focus on rhythm. But abundance would say, this is all going to come back to me just when I need it. And it might take a minute for it to come back, but it will come back fast. I'm not going to be starting over like from scratch. I'll be starting from where I left off. Scarcity would say, focusing on one style is going to limit me. Abundance would say, all dance benefits all dance, and deep diving on this one style is going to improve all my styles when I come back around to them. Scarcity would say, I'm going to get behind, and the other students are going to pass me by. And abundance would say, there's no finish line. There's no behind. I'm right where I need to be at the pace that is best for me right now. Scarcity would say, I don't have what I need. Abundance says, I always have what I need. And if I don't have it, then I don't need it. Scarcity would say, if I can't pay for dance, I'm going to miss out on what's meant for me. Abundance would say, if I step away from this for whatever reason, there's something better for me. Maybe I'd never walk away from this on my own. So the economy is leading me to make different choices that lead me on a totally different path that I would have never found if I had stayed focused on my dancing. I love dancing and I want to dance forever. But I also think, what if what I think is like a 8 out of 10 in my life right now is actually a 2 out of 10? And there's something better that I'm going to like, not even just as much, more, that feels more like me. It's what I'm meant to be doing. That's going to be my calling, my purpose, whatever. And what if I would have never found it if I didn't have a reason to quit dancing for a while? As much as I love dancing for me and for you, it's not everything, my friends. So listen, I get it. When we want something and we feel like something outside of us is limiting us, it sucks. Okay, period. The push and pull of that, the tension of that, it's not comfortable. It's a desire that's being unsatisfied, and we hate that feeling as humans. But don't let yourself fall into the trap of scarcity. If you want to keep dancing, you can make it happen. Don't forget that while this is an optional hobby, it is so much more than that. Remember why you dance, all of the reasons, all of the things that it brings you that are independent of the amount or volume that you dance. There's things that you get that are the same whether you do it once a week or 4 times a week, or if you compete 0 or if you compete 10 times in a year. There's things that are independent of that you get from dancing. So those are the things that really keep you going, that really help you stick with it. Remember, there's so much more to this than just dancing and learning a skill, okay? So in the end, I want to offer you even just one more thought that really helps me. And that is, whatever I decide to spend on me, I am worth the investment. Investing in me is always a good investment. You know, when my husband went to dental school, okay, we both went to undergraduate. We both have degrees, bachelor's degrees. When he went to dental school, his dental school education cost close to $300,000 in student loans. $300,000. We invested in him $300,000. And then we spent multiple 6 figures on a dental practice after he'd been practicing 10 years. We got a business loan. We're probably up to $1 million investing in my husband. And it's paying off, not going to lie. But I am willing to also invest in me, whether that's $5 to $20 for a social dance cover, or if it's hundreds of thousands of dollars in a graduate program, or it's thousands of dollars here or thousands of dollars there because I want to dance. And I'm not telling you to spend money that you don't have. I just want to remind you that you can enjoy the dancing and you can keep doing it at varying levels. No matter what the circumstances are, you have the ability to choose how you're going to respond to them. And you can be a victim in the story, or you can be the hero. You're an active participant here. And you can sustain your passion within whatever resources are available to you at this moment. So get creative, get resourceful, believe in yourself. This is what we're talking about. You're elastic, girl. Okay. If anyone can make the most of it, you can. So keep dancing, keep having fun, and enjoy it. I'm going to get off my soapbox here. Be grateful for what you do have and what you are able to do. Okay? I love you guys. Let's catch you next time.